Yeah, I don't know what it's been, but lately my lips have been so chapped.
Can you bring me my chapstick?
Yeah. My lips hurt real bad.
No,
I almost so I was at the gym yesterday. I almost texted Kara and told her she was at work, like right next door. Can you bring me on my chapstick?
Oh, that would have been fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm working.
Why don't you just walk out to my car and get it yourself? You lazy. That's way too far. I'm working out right now.
You know how bad my fucking lips hurt?
I can't walk outside with these lips like this. Jeez.
Somebody's gonna see him.
Compassion. Just bring me the chapstick, please.
I'm not asking too much. Just leave work, walk to my car, grab it, walk it into the gym to me.
Jeez, Kip.
God, selfish. So anyway, what's up, fucker?
How the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, you know. Besides the chapped lips, doing real well.
Yeah, that's a real travesty.
Yeah. Could barely even talk.
That looked like Stitch.
My lips are real chapped.
We love Stitch. He's just fun to make fun of.
Yeah.
Did you see, I know this is like not on topic at all, but the protocols he was downloading?
The what?
I'll show you one. He was texting these to Scott, and I was like, put him in a group chat. But I don't know, his vagina was rough or something. Let's see, where did it go?
Protocols for what?
Here you go.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, he had a whole series of them.
I don't know where he found time to do that, because they were eating shit over there all night.
That's probably why they were eating shit over there. Yeah, I thought those were fucking great.
Yeah, that's good job, Stitch. That was funny. It's good shit.
Yeah. Let's talk about pyramids.
Pyramids.
Schemes.
Holla. I guess it'd be like that, huh? The rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pyramids are such a crazy thing to behold, I would think.
Do you think slaves built the pyramids?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah, I mean what we were taught in school and the history of in the education system here in America, what we're taught is that the pyramids were built by slaves to be used as burial tombs for the pharaohs, which, I mean, if they were built by slaves, they were some pretty learned slaves to make something that precise.
I kind of also feel like if you're able to manhandle these multi-ton pieces of granite, like you're probably pretty yoked. You don't need to be a slave.
Yeah. That they were built by slaves for the tombs with pharaohs, and they were built around 3,000 years ago, so roughly. Or I guess it would be around 4 to 5,000 years ago, so 3 to 4,000 years BC.
Yeah.
Which is, there isn't really evidence to show that. Actually, there's evidence to the contrary, that they were built much earlier.
And they were discovered.
And they were discovered by the pharaohs and the...
Which, I buy that so much more.
Yeah.
But that raises a bigger question of who fucking made them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different theories, and some of them are more plausible than others, and some of them are like way out there.
Yeah.
Which is right up our fucking alley, dude.
Hundo P.
Yeah, I mean, was it the aliens that came here and fucking made the slaves? But here's the thing, like, what would the aliens be if aliens really came here and then, like, enslaved these hominid people or beings that lived here? What were they building the pyramids for still? Like,
let me get my smart guy glasses.
Philosophizing glasses?
No, he's a philosophizer. Yeah. No, that glare just hit me right then, and it was like, ah. Yeah, I think that's the question, is if aliens did build them, what the fuck are they for?
Yeah.
And so if you go by the, what do you call it? I knew I was going to forget it, and I should have wrote it down. But the idea that it's a harvester of energy.
The Giza power plant?
The Giza power plant. There's another guy calls it something else. Proton harvester or something like that. But yeah, essentially that the pyramids were made to harness energy, and then the obelisks are what put it out.
Mm.
Because the obelisks are these huge pieces of granite, but they're infused with quartz and what's that called when it's silver and gold put together, electroid or something like that. So they're basically like built to harness plasmic energy, which is kind of crazy.
Which I guess could power their spaceships if they were aliens that were coming here.
Spaceships, or maybe it's sending the power to, the hollow earth or Antarctica.
I never thought of that.
The power going down?
The power is coming from the atmosphere and then going down?
Yeah. That's what I thought of, because it wouldn't make sense to have power that you could put out into space or even into the atmosphere, because it's like you have solar power, wind power, or if the aliens are able to harness 0 point energy, like why would they need a power plant?
Yeah. Yeah, and for people that aren't into this and might be listening to this, like, it's kind of the same where Tesla got the idea for his power structures that he was making was from the pyramids, was to make wireless energy available. And it's just, you're tapping into the energy that's created by the Earth's magnetic field and putting it out there in the atmosphere, is that anything that has a receptor for it can harness that energy. And he built one prototype in Colorado and was working on another one on the east side, New Jersey or somewhere.
Yeah, it's I'm struggling this morning.
It's all right. It's early.
I know
You've
you're
only
talking
had
about.
half a White Claw.
Only half. Maybe I should just go right to whiskey. If I'm going to be incoherent, I might as well have a reason.
Should we do a shot?
We could do a shot. You fucking betcha. Anyway, Tesla.
Yeah, he was making his Tesla coils that were supposed to put out wireless energy into the atmosphere, and the people that were also investing in the power grid at the time kind of sidelined his whole thing. Was like, they're like, if we're gonna make energy, we have to be able to charge for it. So it was like, yeah, these things are a real thing that we could use, but the people that hold all those patents aren't going to release them, because then you wouldn't make money off of people paying for power.
Oh, that was the problem. JP Morgan being like, JK, no more funding.
Yeah, so he was funding Tesla, and he was also funding Edison, who was creating his version of power through wires and shit like that. And then Tesla came up with his concept, and they were like, ooh, shit, that's way too easy to make free.
Yeah.
And this idea over here we can charge a lot of money for, so yeah, fuck you. Yeah. Let's get these powered light bulbs.
Eat shit, smart guy. Salud.
So, but it comes down to, like, again, if they were building these pyramids to harvest power or energy, what were they powering?
Yeah, I still stick with they're sending the power down. Especially with the new evidence that's come out with, is it Khafre? The name of that specific pyramid, where they found these underground structures. It's like, what's down there, and does it need power?
Yeah. So yeah, just recently, a couple weeks ago, there's some scientists. We'll use air quotations because these people are. I'm not going to say they're not scientists, but they have. It seems like they have ulterior motives. Have used a new type of radar, ground penetrating radar. It's called SAR. It's like almost like sonar for the ground. And they use these satellites to beam sound waves down into the earth, and then the sound waves bounce back up to the satellites, and they're kind of able to create a 3D image of what's below the ground. And what it looks like, and what's really weird about it is they're using AI to help them kind of map out this thing. So they have like a partial image, and then they use AI to kind of fill in the gaps for them.
Yeah, and that's where I have issues with that.
Yeah, me too.
I get it to a degree of like, let's get a rough idea, but all of that gets perpetuated as fact, when in reality it's like, this is an AI generated thing. We don't know how real it is.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get a baseline, or maybe even like get some kind of outlandish idea, so we can start preparing to go down there or whatever. But it's still just AI created. It's like, could have been like, hey Spencer, guess what this looks like?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it looks like an L shape. Okay, cool, it's an L shape.
Yeah, the problem that I have with them using AI is that, like, from my understanding, AI uses all the information that it has to render a hypothesis of what you're trying to look at.
Yeah.
So AI is using the internet and going through all these, whatever information is out there on the internet, whether it's true or whether it's hypothesis, to create an image of what you're asking it to show you. So it's like it's going through all these different hypotheses of like underground cities and nothing that's been proven, but it's using that to render an image for you. So it's like, I mean, if there are these rumors about these underground cities, the halls of Amenti, as they call it, that are rumored to be under pretty much the whole Giza Plateau, could it just be the AI going through this untrue information and then creating a narrative for your image?
Well, even depending on which AI program you use, like, they operate under certain parameters, right? And so Elon Musk was talking about this, where there was one AI program that was operated within very, like, woke parameters. And so he had asked it, like, what's worse, killing 100 people or misgendering Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner? And the AI said misgendering is worse than killing 100 people.
Yeah.
And I'm butchering that. You can go look it up yourself. It's on Joe Rogan. But yeah, so he's talking about these different AI platforms and how they're kind of like wired to work within this criteria of their creator. So which program was it? And, what was like the axe to grind for the owner of that, AI? What did they want to show you versus like taking the bounds off of it and go, okay, AI, do your thing, no parameters.
Yeah.
So I have a big issue with that.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with what we were talking about, is that this recent discovery shows that, their satellite imaging shows that there are these big tubes, cylindrical shaped voids underneath the pyramid, and some of them reach down to about 2 kilometers down underneath the pyramids, and then they get down to this big open square kind of chamber is what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's about the same size as the base of the pyramid.
Right.
Pretty close.
Right. And along those cylindrical tubes, it looks like there's like spirals going down, so their thought is it could be like a shaft that goes down there with a spiral staircase that goes down there. And these chambers that they're seeing, they're talking about them as the halls of Amenti, which was a mythical place, supposed mythical place that the Egyptians believed in, that you would go to when you were near death to kind of go through your last trials to see what you've learned here on earth and the lessons that you've learned, been taught, and kind of like your last test before you pass on to the next world. But it also references that as a place of great knowledge and understanding. So some people are speculating that it is like the halls of Amenti is actually like a huge library, almost like the Library of Alexandria, of all this knowledge that the Egyptians held that we don't understand. Just like, how did they build these pyramids?
Well, yeah, I mean, even the Library of Alexandria, depending on who you listen to, some people think, like, yeah, it burned down. Other people go, it was a heist. Somebody went in, stole all that information, and then burned down the rest. So it looks like it's just lost to the sands of time, but...
And that's what I would think. Like, why would you actually burn all of that stuff? Like, unless you're just a moron. Which, I mean, there's a lot of
if you're trying to create your own narrative,
right,
of the world going forward, you'd have to erase the one of the world that you live in now.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's happened. It's like the history is written by the people who win the wars, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you go in, demolish this person's civilization, burn everything down so they don't have any kind of a written record of who they are and where they came from.
That would never happen. What are you talking about?
But, like, if you were smart, you would collect all that shit so that you would have the knowledge that they no longer have.
Yeah.
And then you could more easily control that population. Just me.
That's what I would do.
Saying what I would do if I was a maniacal super genius that doesn't do podcasts.
You're not a maniac?
I didn't say that. I'm
Okay.
saying that's what I would do.
That's what I would do.
So yeah, I mean, the pyramids in their construction is a crazy thing to think about. What is it, like almost 3 million blocks of granite and sandstone that were quarried 500 miles away.
Yeah, that's where I can't give credence to the whole slave-built aspect. Like, for one, these blocks of granite and stone and whatever, they're so huge and they're so precisely cut that it just doesn't make sense that slaves were out there chipping away, or that they drug them 500 miles.
At that time period, they're only thought to have stone and pure copper tools, like copper.
And copper's soft.
Trying to cut through granite with a copper chisel and a stone hammer is going to take fucking forever.
Yeah, one would take forever.
Yeah, and you got 3 million blocks to go into one pyramid, and some of these blocks are 70 tons, which is 140,000 pounds.
That's a lot. Even our best equipment in this day and age can't lift that.
Right.
That's so much weight.
Right. So I mean, just the thought of them actually building this thing there's something that we've lost that we don't understand. And
well, what really baffles me is how accurate the stones are cut.
Yeah.
They say that some of them have like a 1/16 inch gap, like completely across the seam.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have some kind of mortar that went between them that they still don't know what it is. That's so bananas to me, because like our average construction job is not that accurate.
No.
Like at all.
No.
Even the best in the world probably could not get that kind of accuracy.
Yeah.
Well, and even some of them, you know, these huge 50, 60 foot granite slabs that you can't even like slide a credit card through.
Mm-hmm.
They're so perfectly aligned. Like, how do you do that? And you want to tell me you did that with copper and stone tools? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Cavemen out there. And this is at a time that, like, this is like the earliest known or thought about known civilizations that, you know, was around. So, like, just waking up one day and then gathering up all these cave people, I guess.
Essentially. And
making them your slaves, and then, well, I need you to cut this stone super perfectly. How? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Did you watch that video that I sent you? That the land of Chem?
You know what? I totally forgot about it until this morning.
So that guy, so his name is, so there's a couple different theories about people saying what they think that the pyramids were. One of them is a guy named Christopher Dunn, who believes that they were, like you were talking about, built for the collection of energy. Mm-hmm. And there's another guy, his name is Jeffrey Drum, and he's written a book, and he's been in Egypt for the past like 7 years, 10 years, whatever, kind of studying his theory, working on his theory that they were actually built as industrial chemical plants, pretty much. And so each pyramid, like, so there's actually 12 pyramids on the Giza Plateau, and each one they were all kind of interconnected. And his claim is that they're all interconnected through tunnels underneath the Giza Plateau. And they would produce one thing in one of the pyramids, and then they would transfer it to the next pyramid that would use that, and then transfer it to another pyramid to use that.
Interesting.
And his theory is that they were doing this on an industrial scale to create a fertile land. So it was like most of the stuff that they were producing there was stuff that they could make fertilizer, and the Great Pyramid itself was actually a harvester of ions, but it was more to attract lightning to create thunderstorms in that area so they could make
rain.
And so it would be like they're controlling the weather and they're controlling the land through the chemicals that they're making so that they can make the land fertile.
Interesting.
And so this is part of his theory too. The historical name of Egypt is Kemet. So it was known as the land of Chem, which where we base our root word for chemistry. And so it was like, were these people using this science that they knew about to create a more fertile land for their population of people that lived there?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that his theory...
My mind's just going like a million miles an hour.
So this theory that, you know, he's talking about is one of the only ones that is actually complete, like, it actually makes sense. Like, okay, I can see why they were doing this. And, like, inside of each chamber, inside the pyramid, there's different chemicals, stains on the walls of the pyramids. And each one, it's like, this one was made to make sulfuric acid or whatever. This one is making sodium bicarbonate. You know, all things that go into making fertilizer, industrial fertilizer. And then the surrounding temples around these pyramids have these collection bowls of like where all the stuff would come out, and they would collect it all in an industrial manufacturing setting type of a deal.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that gives a little bit more credence to why the obelisks themselves are quartz and silver and gold infused, because then there would be a conductor for lightning, because lightning is plasmic energy.
Yeah.
So, boom, you power up the factory cranks out product.
Yeah.
Wow.
So his theory also is they had to make these structures so big because the way that the whole system would work is they would pump. So they would have a collection chamber, one of the chambers down like at the bottom, and they have, these things are proven to be there, these chambers underneath the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
And they would fill those things with like water and manure, and then have the methane gas go up one of the shafts through the middle of the pyramid into like the grand gallery.
Yeah.
And then they would use those side
those like chutes that
come down
at that weird angle. Yeah.
To fill it with water so it would compress the gas, and so the methane gas comes in, and then you fill it with water and compress it so it's like a super dense methane gas, and then as it fills up, the methane gas like absorbs into the water, and then you can drain that water out infused with methane gas, and then you transfer that to the next pyramid where it uses that to create a different substance. So they would have to make these pyramids super big with all this weight pushing down so that the gas pressure isn't going to make it explode.
Yeah. Well, and having very precisely cut stone with mortar in between, you're creating a seal.
Yeah.
So the air can't escape.
Right.
God, that makes so much sense.
Yeah,
but it's not fantastical. I don't want to believe it.
Yeah. Then he even references like one of the German scientists that came up with the gas that they were killing the Jews with, and went to Egypt and was studying like the pyramids, and that's where he came up with this system to create the gas that they were using.
Interesting.
And it's like the diagram of the diagram of the machine that he was using was almost exactly the same diagram as the pyramid rooms and shafts and everything. It's exactly the same.
That's crazy. Fucking Germans.
Yeah. So it was like Tesla was going to, the pyramids and learning about.
Yeah, I really do feel like there's something very ancient about the knowledge there. And if you do subscribe to the idea that they found the pyramids, not that they built them, then they probably understood it better than we do, because they were probably in some way closer to time to whoever actually built it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I watched that and I was like, fuck, man, that makes so much sense. But how would they come up with this shit? Like, how would they just, like, come up with this shit? So I was like, I've seen Ancient Aliens, and my Ancient Alien brain was, putting these things together as I usually think about shit, and was like, what if it was the ancient astronauts that came here and created these things to terraform the Earth, and was like the birthplace of civilization in this area because they terraformed everything.
That makes sense too. Solved it. We're done. That's a wrap.
Doctor?
Yeah, so the whole idea that they're power plants is really cool. I like the actual factory version just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Even though it's not fantastical, it makes sense in a way.
It makes, I mean, either way, it's like these people were geniuses. They weren't slaves.
Yeah.
They were.
Well, and I tend to think that the pyramids were built during Pangea, instead of the version of Earth we know now, like pre-cataclysm. So they were built somewhere else, and then when all of everything shifted, they ended up landing there in this desolate desert, dry place. So now they're no longer useful.
Yeah.
And that would have happened way before the Egyptians were, a society.
Yeah.
So, to me, it makes more sense if wherever the pyramids were made, it was closer to the equator, and maybe even closer to where America would be now.
Yeah.
So,
well, either way, I mean, even if it is on the same continent in the relatively same space as they are now, like right now we're looking at it and seeing a desert there.
Yeah.
If you look at 10,000 years ago, it was probably more like a tropical place because, I mean, the ice caps were keeping everything cooler, and so like that subtropical zone in between the, right around the equator was a little bit larger because it was so cold on the top. So like that area, that whole Saharan desert was probably more like most of Africa was.
yeah, a little bit more of an oasis.
Yeah,
than
more
it is.
green and fertile.
But even thinking about like Göbekli Tepe, Tempe or Tepe?
Tepe.
There's no M. Where that's like buried so far down. Even that one kind of fits the same profile for me. Of it wasn't originally there. It was there somewhere else pre-cataclysm, and then when everything shifted and moved, it landed there, but it got backfilled.
Yeah.
Just because it's so deep down, not as deep as what's claimed to be under the pyramids, but it's pretty far down.
Yeah.
And that's to make that high of stonework, only for it to get buried back in. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, why would you dig down, build all this up, and then eventually it's just going to fill back in?
From what I've understood about Göbekli Tepe was that it was built and then purposely buried. They buried it on purpose.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they say it looks like, that they built it and then shortly after they built it, they buried it really quickly.
Yeah, I'm not an archaeologist, but I'm curious of what the evidence is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the dirt looks like it was thrown in by a shovel.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck do you come up with that?
How did you know they had a shovel back then?
Yeah. Was it made of copper?
This was, I mean, even Göbekli Tepe was, supposedly built 13,000 years ago. So
yeah, which predates what they think the pyramids were built.
Yeah, by a long time.
Yeah.
So these researchers that found this new evidence using this thing, they actually have gone back and said that they actually believe that the pyramids were built 30,000 years ago as opposed to 5,000 or 6,000 years ago.
Makes way more sense.
Yeah. Where they're coming up with this number, I don't know, but I mean, if you go by like the way things get covered up, if that bottom part of the shaft was actually closer to the surface before and then has kind of been buried over time, then I guess that's where you can get 30,000 years. But
yeah, but thinking about it from that aspect, like, you'd have to build this base and then these huge pillars and then build a pyramid on top.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, then we're talking about aliens for sure.
Facts.
Yeah.
I do love watching Ancient Aliens, especially when they talk about the pyramids or moving big pieces of stone and shit. And then they go off into this whole tangent of, oh, these monks could vibrate and...
Could it be possible that the monks were...
possible that these monks taught these Egyptians... That guy is really smart. I hate listening to him.
Yeah, yeah.
He sounds like a South Park character.
He does. I don't know why they don't have him as a reoccurring character on South Park.
Why they don't just dub his lines in Ancient Aliens. So what happened was... No, I shouldn't talk shit. He's a smart guy. But yeah, they go into like the dude who made the stone garden. Did you ever see that one?
I don't know.
Where he would never really divulge how he was able to move these big stones, even though he was just a little guy.
Oh, recent time, like...
Yeah, this was in
the
60s, I think. or the monks, you know, where they would get together and they would hum at this specific harmonic frequency and move these big objects. I have to think that maybe that's part of it. Resonant frequencies,
Yeah,
you know.
definitely.
Or just the fun one is aliens.
Yeah, I mean, fun fact that the resonance of the Great Pyramid in Giza is tuned to F sharp.
That is true.
Which, I mean, there's a lot of different cultures around the world that signify F sharp as the frequency of life. So, like, a lot of the ancient tribes, indigenous tribes here in America, they tune their flutes to F sharp because that's the frequency of life. So, I mean, I don't think that's a coincidence either.
I don't think it's a coincidence that it's an F sharp. Fuck!
Yeah.
That's how life is.
Fuck!
That's life.
That's life. Can't say the F word, dude. We're going to get banned again. Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
Beat me by 1 second. Yeah, the vibrational factor it seems to come up in everything.
Yeah.
With whether you're emotionally vibrating at a certain frequency or you're making an actual vibration with sound. It all seems to play a factor.
It does. And I mean, if you look at like string theory, or what do they call it now? They call it something else. Anyways, it's the theory that like the smallest particles that make up like the protons and electrons that make up atoms are strings of energy that vibrate at a specific frequency to, I mean, and then they coordinate the vibration to create this chair or me or these cameras or whatever. So it's, I mean, I think it all comes into play with the vibration of like, you know, certain things have certain resonances, everything.
It does. Well, and I think that applies to every individual thing. You think about music-wise, so you're a big fan of reggae, and I'm a big fan of hard rock, where we just vibrate differently on those different frequencies, and we adapt to those frequencies better. And that's probably why you prefer that genre over this one or the other one.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, everything vibrates. That's just the reality of it.
Some vibrate more than others.
It's true. And I was going to make a joke. I'll save it for later.
Tell it, dude. Make it.
I was going to say, I think people who physically vibrate don't vibrate emotionally. And people who vibrate emotionally don't vibrate physically. Proved
Solved it. Doctor.
It's the glasses.
I think it's the glasses, dude. They're really helping.
Yeah, no. I really want to know what's under the pyramid.
So do I.
And what's killing me about this whole pyramid thing right now is how much bullshit is out there.
Yeah.
Because you scroll through TikTok and you see, oh, this is a video of the, you know, scientists going down in the pyramid. No, it's not. Promise. They just figured this out.
That's from the movie As Above, So Below.
No, it's a completely AI generated thing.
Yeah.
Where these scientists go in the white Tyvek suits, and there's a pool of blue water, and there's all these pillars that are wrapped in copper, and it looks so amazing. And you're like, oh my God, this is fake as fuck.
And then the one guy has 3 legs, and you're like, fuck.
He like clips out of existence for a moment, and you're like, God damn it. I mean, we have to be realistic about the fact that this was just recently discovered. They're not excavating right now.
No.
Like, they're still figuring out what is what.
Yeah.
They're not just like, oh shit, there's stuff down there. Let's go find the door that we've never found before and go down there.
And also, I mean, it's like all of the stuff that happens at the pyramids are strictly regulated by the Egyptologist groups in Egypt. Like, they have certain protocols and they have to go by the rules of, just because they want to keep their, I don't want to say keep their narrative of their history or their, you know.
Well, it's still, it's still preservation.
Right. I mean, if it was, you know, something of my people that, you know, my people built this, I want to be in control of, you know, who comes and says what about it. I understand that, like, but that's a large part of what happens in Egypt is, you know, you have to get their permission to say what you are going to say about it, and so to even have permission to even dig down there is going to be, if it ever happens, probably years and years of,
yeah,
you know.
And let's be real, if it takes place in Egypt, Brendan Fraser has to be there.
Brendan Fraser now or 1998?
Yeah, maybe that's why we can't just go in there and do it, because he's older now.
Yeah, we need to get AI Brendan Fraser, Prime Fraser,
Prime, and Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz now or
I don't give a shit.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, would knock the bottom out of it.
Yeah, or even what's her name in the movie? The Egyptian princess lady.
Oh, Nefertiti? No. Noxunamun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Kuncha Ocha.
Kuncha Ocha!
But that's White Devil.
That is White Devil. I know, I hear that one all the time. No, I don't.
I hear it too, but it's mostly aimed at Stitch. So.
Well, I mean, he can't be the White Devil because he's half Japanese.
True. Dude.
You know,
super off topic.
It makes me sad that he doesn't actually listen to the show and catch all the fucking jabs we take at him.
Yeah. He sent me a picture of himself with one of those filters on, and it was like a Japanese old guy, like his old Japanese man. And I was like, yeah, I've seen that old filter before.
See, there's a filter on this?
Yeah.
You old racist.
Looked exactly like the way that he looks now, just a little bit more gray. It's like, sorry, bro, you look super Japanese to me. Don't be mad about that. It's just your heritage.
We need
bro.
like a term for that. When you're white Asian, like Wasian. You know how you can have wiggers? Maybe you can have a Wasian.
A Wasian. Yeah. Japcasian. But yeah, you can't say Jap though. That's racist.
Well, you didn't. You said Japcasian. It's not the same.
Not saying the other one, just the JAP part.
Or you could even throw in an extra vowel, Japacasian.
Japacasian.
I dig it.
Stitch, you're officially Japacasian.
But he's also part German. So he's an SS Japacasian. He's like a ship.
Or he's Cockapeas.
Oh, get fucked, nerd. That's a good one. So yeah, what if the aliens did build the pyramids?
I mean, that's... Stargate was a great movie. Was it built as a docking station for the, you know, their galactic pyramid-shaped crafts? Maybe.
Could be. I mean, I have trouble with the idea of like aliens built it, specifically because of the power plant idea. Like, why would they need a power plant when their ships are powered by 0-point energy or like element 115 or, you know, whichever version you want to buy? You know, they would have unlimited power.
Yeah.
Why would they need to recharge?
Right.
But the technology to actually build the pyramids with these precise cuts from, stones from a quarry 500 miles away, you kind of need a little bit of help putting that one together.
Yeah, where's this knowledge coming from? The base knowledge of how to even manipulate the stones.
Yeah, even if you got the monks over from their country to be like, and bring them over, they got to do it 300 million times?
For 500 miles, that's
a lot.
They better get some Ricolas.
Ricola! They're just like, fuck, I'm tired.
Tap me in, tap me out.
All right, hour on, hour off. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you don't know what we're talking about, you probably haven't seen Ancient Aliens, I guess.
And if you haven't, you're kind of a loser.
Yeah. Get some culture, dude. Watch some Ancient Aliens. You can even watch. Do you ever see that show, Action Bronson?
Yes.
What was his show called?
Oh man, I can't think of the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyways, Action Bronson is a rapper, and the show was about him and his friends getting stoned and watching Ancient Aliens and talking about it, which is a fucking dope show.
Well, I think he had two shows, because one of them, I'm pretty sure he would get stoned and go to food trucks.
Yeah.
Which was dope.
Yeah, that's delicious.
Yeah, I mean, could you think of a better show for us to be on than a show where you get stoned and you go eat, or you get stoned and you watch Ancient Aliens?
We could combine the two.
Yeah, like, you get stoned, go get food, come back, get stoned, eat the food, watch Ancient Aliens.
Yeah. You know, it'd be even funnier is like getting stoned and then thinking you're a rapper.
I could totally rap if I was stoned.
I don't know if I could actually rap, but I could probably think I could rap.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that mind space, like, holy shit, I am Eminem. Let's go.
I'd be like Dylon from fucking the what's his name show. Turn my headphones up. Yeah. Turn them shits up.
You gotta go just full DJ Khaled. Just on everybody else's song, you gotta come up and yell your name. Spencer Johnson! Another one.
That's the next one. Yeah, I'm gonna do it a little bit different.
That's even better. I like that. I dig it.
Yeah.
I think if I was a rapper, I'd probably come off more like Rick from Rick and Morty. Take off your pants and panties. Shit on the floor.
Shit on the floor.
Get swifty.
Get swifty.
That would be me, 100%.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm killing it.
Yeah. Yeah, watching Ancient Alien series, and it's like they talk about the pyramids being built by... I don't know if they talk about necessarily them being built by aliens, but, I don't know if I really believe that, but, like, the stories are there in the ancient Sumerian texts about the Anunnaki, and, I mean, it all fits in the narrative of even, like, biblical stories. I mean, if you're looking at it through a different lens, how we've talked about in previous episodes of the stuff being the same story, just talked about through a different lens.
Yeah, I think if you listen to Billy Carson, he'll give you a totally different perception of it.
Yeah.
Which is the fun, fantastical version that I want.
Yeah.
Instead of the chemical manufacturing thing makes perfect sense in my mind, but I kind of want the Billy Carson version.
Yeah.
Just because it's way more fun.
It's way more fantastical.
Well, I mean, even he talks about in the King's Chamber, there's a box, and it's allegedly, by scholars, it's a resting place for the pharaoh, but he's like, it's so small, I couldn't fit in it, And his theory is that that's where the Ark of the Covenant was held, because it matches the dimensions that are described in the Bible.
Yeah.
but he's heavy into the Anunnaki and the Book of Enoch and all that good stuff. So I'm kind of like, he has a very alternate version of it that I really do like a lot more.
Yeah. And the way that he tells it is super engaging and very entertaining.
Even if he's full of shit, I'll still listen to him.
I mean, it sounds like he believes it.
100%.
But still, like, some of this stuff that he says, just like, really?
Every once in a while, you get a left-handed curveball, and you're like, oh, God, no, don't do that.
Yeah. And there's some of the stuff that's come out with him that, like, is a little bit telling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that, like, where he was, like, he went and did a podcast and was debating some guy, and this guy, like, totally fucking...
Yeah, I saw bits of it. I couldn't watch it the whole way through. It was just like, let him breathe.
Yeah. Well, it was like, not just that, it was like, after that, he went to the guy that recorded the podcast and was, like, telling him not to air it, and, like, knocking on his door at, like, 2 a.m. to fucking tell him not to put it out.
Rough.
Yeah.
I really like that guy, too.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like... He's kind of a historian in the same way that Terrence Howard is a physicist.
Yeah. Where Terrence Howard had a lot of crazy ideas that seemed like, I mean, to me, that whole, like, reimagining the periodic table made a lot of sense to me. Like, oh, that does make sense. Does it, though?
Yeah.
It makes sense to me because I don't understand it. Yeah.
I listened to it, and him, not just on, like, Joe Rogan, but other podcasts, too. Because I was like, either this guy is a total genius or he's a fucking idiot, right? And I'm not a scientist by any stretch. Just pretend. But yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between doctor and scientist.
Yeah, it's true. I'm a scientist. Look at my glasses.
Well, yeah, I thought we were doctors, but...
Doctor? Well, no matter what he says, I just go back to 1 × 1 = 2. In no fucking world does that work.
No.
Because it's 1, 1. Or if you take 1 × 2, it's 1, 2. So it's 2.
Yeah.
1, 3. Or if you take 2 × 2, is 2 2s. 2 × 4.
Well, it's even like 1 × 1 or 1 times.
Exactly.
Or 2 times, so there's 2 of them.
That's exactly it. So if you were to take 2 × 5, it's 2 5s.
Yeah.
And that's how that works.
Yeah.
So the whole 1 × 1 thing, I'm like, dude, you'd have so much more credibility if you would drop that shit.
And I get the point that he was making was like...
The idea to multiply is to create. I understand that.
Right.
But there's still a basis.
I think that the overlooked thing is that he's talking about thinking about things in a different way, thinking about things in a different light. So it's like 1 × 1 is 2, because you have 1 and 1. Yeah, you're thinking of it as a mathematical way. It's only 1, but if you're looking at it from a different perspective, it could be 2. Like,
I do understand that, but we still have to operate.
The way that you
logic.
think about it, it's like that's the fucking wrong way to talk about that.
Yeah, 100%. If he would just let that go and focus on all the other stuff, he'd have more credibility with actual scientists.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and not talking down to actual scientists would help.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine going up to Neil deGrasse Tyson and be like, you don't know what you're talking about, shut up.
Yeah, as smart as that guy is, I fucking can't stand him.
Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah.
He's very arrogant.
Yeah. And he doesn't believe in aliens. Fucking dummy.
Show me one. Dude, if I could show you one, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
I don't know if he doesn't believe in aliens, he just doesn't believe that there's evidence of aliens.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of in the Fermi's paradox of it. It's either 100% real that there are aliens or there are none.
Yeah.
And I do believe that there are.
Yeah,
Probability-wise, it doesn't make sense for there not to be.
Yeah, there's too much space, both outside and inside, for there not to be other intelligent life forms that are not of this they're not of our reality, I would say.
Yeah, I think too many people predicate the idea of a habitable planet is habitable for us.
Yeah.
But maybe their biology is different.
Yeah.
Like they can breathe straight CO2 when we can't. They don't need a 19% oxygen atmosphere, but we do.
Yeah, they're not based off of carbon. They're based off of something else.
Yeah, they could be made of anything from their planet.
Yeah, which leads into fucking AI. Is it silicon-based intelligence?
Well, AI
That's what AI is.
Yeah.
Is AI an alien?
Alien intelligence. I like that way better than artificial.
Yeah.
Because is it really artificial if it's taking knowledge from the internet, which we've created as humans? It's stealing from our known database of knowledge to create an answer. Like, it's really not artificial. It's just faster at thinking than we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a child. And this is going into the next episode, but like it's like a child. Like, you're a kid. If you ask them a question, they're going to base their answer off of their collective knowledge of what what they understand of the world.
Yeah.
Same thing if you ask AI a question, it's going to search its databanks and come up with an answer that best describes what you're asking.
Yeah, it doesn't just create shit out of thin air.
No.
It actually pulls information.
Yeah.
And that's what why I don't think it's actually artificial.
No.
Now, if it was like you asked AI to figure out what's underneath the pyramids and it described it in perfect detail, then I would question if it was alien.
Or a time-traveling being that has been around for millennia and knows the actual answer.
Or some kind of omniscient being like the Watchers from Marvel.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, I watched that get built, so I know what's under there.
The Watchers from Marvel are, I think, based off of the Watchers from the Book of Enoch anyways.
I mean, Marvel's been ripping off like lore for a long time.
Yeah.
You think about Thor.
Yeah.
There's nothing original about Thor.
Or Spider-Man, jeez.
Fuck it. The Spider-Man was in the Bible.
And then Peter Parker did to spray out his web.
It was actually David, and Goliath was like the lizard, so I get it.
One of the, what are they called? The race of lizard people that...
Lizard people!
The lizard people. Oh, we should do an episode on fucking Daveinci anyways. Like,
oh my god,
just
dude.
to talk about all of his theories. I digress. I don't think that the pyramids were built by aliens. I think they were built by people. I don't think they were built by slaves. I think they were built by, like, highly skilled craft people that were probably pretty well taken care of as they were building them.
I definitely believe in that same thing, but using tech that we've never seen.
Yeah, I mean...
Also, David Icke is a fucking lunatic. I'm sorry, that was stuck in my mind.
He is a crazy guy.
He's out there, man. Interesting, but sorry, I just had to follow up on that.
He was pretty right on with the fucking COVID shit, though. Well, some of the shit.
Some of it. The whole 5G tower creating COVID.
I forgot about that.
Oh my god, dude. I remember so many people that we worked with at the time were like, watch this video, you're going to never want a 5G phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. They watched the video and I'm like, this is bananas. You actually believe this.
I don't know who was it that told me to watch that.
I know Colt and Stevie were like hyper into it.
Yeah.
And guess what? They both have a 5G phone right now.
True.
Because everybody has a 5G phone.
I think mine says 6G a lot of the time.
And I'm pretty sure mine's just 5G.
Yeah.
But I'm like 4 models behind. Because upgrading every year is stupid.
I mean, 5G is just the 5th generation of whatever their speed is.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fucking matter.
Do you think you can get 5G around the pyramids?
Probably with Starlink, for sure.
With Starlink, yeah.
Yeah. You know they have a little new mobile thing with T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get like all the... Dude, so this is way off topic, but yeah. Fucking Starlink wireless shit. You just have this little... It's like a little plastic plate type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can set it up wherever you want to, and then you connect to the Starlink satellite and you have fucking internet anywhere.
Wow. You know, it's funny. I was hearing some stories about that of like people who would go on these big camping or hunting excursions, and they would take that with them so that at night they could, you know, watch a movie or call their loved ones or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool. It must be like a in-club thing, but it's really not.
No.
Because yeah, it was all like people who were connected to Elon through Joe Rogan would talk about it, and of course they all got money and shit. So it's like, oh, it just must be a who's who crowd. But I looked it up, and it's like, no, you could get it yourself.
Yeah, my brother-in-law has it.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of like,
He lives in fucking Stockton, and he has it at his house.
ah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How much
because
is it?
it's like, I think he said it's only like $120 a month.
That's like a regular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty sure you pay Comcast more than that.
Well,
for
he was
shitty
paying
internet.
more for his Comcast than he was
Yeah.
for Starlink.
And Comcast fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Gross.
Mostly because he lives way out in the fucking middle of nowhere in
Oh,
Stockton, and then he has it. He just takes his little thing with him. So he's building a house up in Manila, up near Flaming Gorge in some small little town, and he just takes that little setup and puts it outside of his trailer where he's building his
That's
house.
so cool.
Has internet.
Take that shit to work with me.
Yeah.
Who wants that Wi-Fi, baby?
$2 an hour.
$2 an hour. All day
Side
access,
hustle.
you get me a Mountain Dew.
Yeah, you'll have to watch that video. It's really, I mean, so this guy is like writing his book and his like, you know, he's thing is that there's a little bit of a detractor is that he's not like a scientist. He's not like a,
See, that doesn't bother me at all.
yeah.
Actually, I think it's more profound for someone who's not traditionally educated to go and do something like that.
Yeah.
Because you're not bound and tethered to ideologies that have been taught to you. You're just like a free, open mind.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he went and saw the pyramids and was, you know, had read Christopher Dunn's book about the pyramids being power plants, and was excited to go see the pyramids. And when he went inside, he was like, "This is something different, but I think I know what it is." And kind of started doing his research on like all the chemicals and the chemical staining, and they've gotten. So he actually ended up moving to Egypt just to pursue his his theory, and so they've been working with the scientific team and getting like data samples, like, you know, little scratchings off the wall, and getting chemical analysis of like the stuff that's inside the walls, and like a lot of his theory makes a lot of sense. You'll have to watch that video. I mean,
Yeah, I'm still planning on it. I just got a little more stuck on the like 8-column thing and the AI generated stuff, all that. I mean, I already had like a pretty strong basis of knowledge within the ideas of the pyramids themselves, but just the new discovery part was really what I was stuck on. But as much as I wanted to believe it, I couldn't, because there's no actual like history of it. There's no real reporting from it. There was a report from 2022 that was real. There was kind of a summit within like Italian scientists that invited other people in, but there was no report on that. It was just a summit that they had.
yeah,
And so you see all this stuff on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and everything else. Oh my God, there's these 8 pillars in these chambers, and it's like you guys are perpetuating information that's not there.
Yeah.
So I really got stuck in that, just trying to like disprove everybody in a way.
Yeah. So I was watching a video this morning about that summit with those. So it's like 3 Italian scientists that were like studying this stuff, and so the summit was held, and so I watched this guy who's like a native Italian guy who speaks Italian, so he was like, I'm going to translate this, the best that I can, understanding the Italian language, so that it's not like being perpetuated in any certain way, like I'm just going to tell you what they're actually saying. And it was like, it seemed like the whole thing that they set up was like kind of a convention like Phenomenon, where they're going to go there and sell tickets and sell their books.
Yeah, that's what I got from it too.
Yeah.
Where it was like they took what little information they had and they hyperinflated it and then kind of wanted to sell it to the public.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway from it.
Yeah.
So it's just that telephone game, They inflate what they know, and then it goes to the next person who inflates it even more. And then by the time it gets to fucking TikTok, like, everybody's like, did you hear the news? And then the story becomes so hyperinflated of, there's this blue liquid down there, and there's sarcophaguses and sustained bodies, and everything's wrapped in copper wire, and just like, where are you guys getting all this information? Because I can't find shit.
Yeah. They're putting it into their own AI models and chat GPTs to create fucking content, so
Facts.
So they can have clickbait to fucking sell to everybody else.
Yeah, so I ended up watching more videos about debunking what's out there, and then more about understanding what actually is out there. Like the whole 8 pillar thing is something totally made up, where one guy took the whole report from 2022, put it into chat GPT. Chat GPT broke it down and never found anything about 8 pillars. Something about there was 5 columns, but it was unrelated. And that's what was actually in the report, because it would cite what part of the report it was from, and then the dude went back and checked it. So yeah, just dispelling the whole like narrative that social media has created about it. Because again, we all want it to be fantastical. We want it to be super cool, and we want it to involve aliens or gods of some kind. Like we want something special.
Yeah.
But we're probably not going to get it.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, I like all those like fantastical stories and stuff like that, but just to find out an actual real story, like real possible story. I mean, the pyramids in themselves are
they're a mystery.
A mystery, and they're works of art and are works that are marvels of human accomplishment, or assumed human accomplishment in themselves. So I mean, just understanding, to be able to understand how these people with their primitive tools and understanding of the world were able to create these things that have stood for millennia.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even build houses that'll last 40 years anymore.
True.
So I mean, I've got a washer and dryer that are going out, and I've only had them 3 years, so
yeah. Which is crazy when you think about, 30, 40, 50 years ago, when something was built, manufactured, it lasted a long time.
Yeah.
That's why there's still cars on the road from, the 50s and 60s.
Right.
But now it's everything that's manufactured is manufactured so cheaply that it's designed to destroy itself.
Yeah.
So you have to buy another one.
Crazy.
But yet we have these pyramids that have been standing for umpteen thousand years, still there.
Still there.
Not only slightly affected by wind and sand and
some dickheads shooting fucking cannons at it.
Remember that one? Or some of these fucking arrogant as fuck archaeologists trying to like break chunks off of it.
Yeah.
Like, you pieces of shit. That's so fucked up.
It was like fucking Napoleon was going by with his fucking army and just saw the pyramids there and were like, shoot that!
Yeah. Shoot it!
Fucking prick.
That guy was a prick.
Yeah.
Small man syndrome.
Small man syndrome.
I bet he's only as tall as we are right now sitting down.
Probably.
He's just...
I don't know if it was small man syndrome, if he was like an average height of the fucking time.
Which was kind of small.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking 5'5", 5'6". So he probably saw like one 6 foot tall dude and was like, motherfucker.
Fucking prick.
You
Shoot him.
Shoot cannon. I know it's the wrong accent. I don't care.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Yeah. So another thing that gets me about the pyramids is how they are actually in alignment with the stars from the time that they were allegedly built, but not now.
But not now.
Because the constellations change over time.
Right.
So it is strange to me that how they align, and I want to say it's like with Orion's belt, where it's the 3 in a row, and then what is it, one in Jordan or something like that. The way it all kind of lines up with the constellations was crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I watched one video that was talking about like zoom out from the Giza plateau, and you find all these pyramids in other parts of the that part of Africa, and it actually creates almost the whole constellation of Orion. So you have the 3 as the belt, and then there's a couple more that complete the whole,
archery pose.
Yeah, the whole constellation of Orion. Just that in itself, like being that precise with your measurements in that time period is fucking crazy.
They weren't out there with telescopes and shit.
No.
It was just like...
Allegedly.
They just had like glasses they put on and it was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, as opposed to today where we see the stars maybe 5 times out of the year. You actually look at the stars. I mean, they're looking at them every single night and they don't have any light pollution from the big cities. So, I mean, their understanding of the stars and like the way that the seasons change and the way that the constellations move in the sky as the year progresses was way greater than the average person
100%.
today. I mean,
I couldn't even tell you the last time I looked up and saw a sky full of stars. It's probably been years.
Yeah. Of course, the beginning of this year, I was every night after work, I'd go out and look at the stars just because it was the planet parade or whatever I was going through, and I was looking.
Well, and kind of where you live has less light pollution.
Yeah.
Versus I live in the valley, so it's like, forget about it.
Yeah.
You're lucky to see a plane, especially when there's inversion.
Yeah, Stansbury's actually like they have a thing. So they have a star observatory there at the park.
Oh, really?
And so like the whole township of Stansbury has an agreement they won't put any street lights and bright lights out so that there's no light pollution, so that the observatory
that's awesome.
Watch the stars or whatever. So I mean, I need to put up a fucking camera to look at Dugway.
Yeah.
Because that's the only real way we're gonna see some fucking aliens.
Honestly, yeah. Oh man, Dugway. We were talking about Dugway at work the other day, and I was like going off on my tangent of there's fucking aliens there, and that's how they're making all these chemicals, is because they're like reverse engineering pathogens and shit like that. And I was like, I sound so crazy right now. I'm probably not wrong, but it doesn't make me sound less crazy. It's like the dude from Independence Day, who had been abducted 10 years ago, and then when they came back, he's like, they abducted me 10 years ago!
Dennis Quaid's brother.
Dennis Quaid's brother, yeah.
Randy.
Randy Quaid. Of course he's crazy. His name's fucking Randy.
Randy. Those Randys are fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's a thing, man.
Most of the Randys, yeah.
They're nuts, or they're just like old perverts.
Yeah. Or both. I don't know. I think that most of the Randys would say that I'm the nuts one, and they're the perverts, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm pretty pervert.
No.
So.
Yeah, but I don't think you're nuts.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. Doctor.
Doctor.
That's going to be a shirt. Dr. Dave-inci, Dr. Spenceangelo. I dig it.
Me too.
But
I dig it 2 fucking kilometers deep.
2 kilometers deep, baby. All the way to the bottom. Yeah, I'm just like bated breath, waiting to see what comes out.
Yeah, I would be super surprised to see if there's actually anything under there, and even more surprised if they actually let them dig.
We should just sneak in.
Sneak in.
Let's just find out where one of the pillars is and see if we can move that stone or break through it.
We'll have to get some of them slaves, though, because I don't want to fucking dig that 2 miles deep, dude. 2 kilometers.
Well, that's the thing is...
Get us a couple Randys out there.
Maybe a stitch or two. You know. Yeah, I think about it in terms of, okay, let's say it is a spiral staircase. Let's say there's several of them. Are they backfilled or are they empty? Like, have they been sealed off to the point where you're not going to have to worry about sand and shit just filling up that chamber? And if you don't, what kind of effects are you going to face when you're down there? As, you know, somebody who's actually going to go down there. And because a lot of stories from, you know, the 20s and the 30s when a lot of the pyramids were opened and the archaeologists would suffer all these crazy effects and they would die or they would have lesions and hair loss and things like that. Basically radiological effects. Mm-hmm. Like whatever's down there is probably going to be the same as whatever affected those guys back then.
Yeah. So I thought about that and I went back to this fucking chemical plant scenario. Like, if they're breaking into these places that were used for chemical production, they're getting exposed to these raw chemical, like, gases that they didn't know about.
Yeah, and for a long time we always thought, like, oh, these people went into the pyramids and stuff, and it was cursed, and that's why they died.
Yeah.
But your scientific mind goes like, oh, wait a minute, if they were manufacturing methane gas and you walked in there without like actually being able to measure the air, like you probably died from methane poisoning.
Yeah.
Or if there was some kind of radiological effect, you know, however that would be caused, like, okay, they died from radiation sickness, not from a curse.
Right. And they're saying it's the curse of the pharaohs, and it's like, there was never any mummies ever found in any of the pyramids. Well, there was dead bodies found in these pyramids.
But not mummified.
But not mummified. I mean, there was mummies, but they were natural mummies. And mummies that were from a much later era. So, like, they could have taken this mummy and just put it inside this pyramid because it was standing there. But none of the kings and pharaohs that are associated with these structures are actually buried. They're actually buried in the Valley of the Kings, which is 370 miles away from the pyramids. It's like an 8-hour drive in a car to get to the Valley of the Kings where these pharaohs are actually buried. Like, why would they have these monuments built 400 miles away from where they're actually buried? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
And there's no hieroglyphics inside the pyramids. Like the Valley of the Kings, in all the tombs, there's, like, every single room has hieroglyphics talking about the pharaoh and their life story and everything depicted on the walls. Inside the pyramid, there's nothing.
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah.
Like, why would they?
But it's the king's chamber. But there's nothing ornate about it.
Yeah.
Which should be. It should be.
You would think.
Adorned with hieroglyphics and jewels and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they're supposed to stock the king or the pharaoh with everything he's going to need in the afterlife, but nothing's in there.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense.
But I mean,
it's just a chamber for methane gas.
The chambers that they were buried in do have all that shit.
What if Billy Carson was right, and the Ark of the Covenant was stored there, but they also did push that methane gas up there as like a deterrent, so anybody breaks in, instantly dead.
Yeah, I mean, the Ark of the Covenant was, it was used. So the Ark of the Covenant was built to carry the Ten Commandments, the plates of the Ten Commandments that Moses got from Mount Sinai, from the hand of God, touched the tablets, and it created the Ten Commandments, and they stored it in this box that they built. But then that box was used by the armies of the time after that and that's what they talk about, is like the Ark of the Covenant was used as a weapon of war. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like a electrical weapon. So if they were storing it inside these pyramids that are supposedly, charging up this electrical energy, could it be just because it needed to be housed there because it was emitting this electrical energy, or it was charging?
It could be.
It's a charging port for the fucking Ark of the Covenant.
One thing that creates a barrier of radiation is concrete, which is not that dissimilar from granite.
Right.
So, created as like a safe house for the Ark of the Covenant. Makes sense to me. And then especially flooding that chamber specifically with methane gas, to where if you break in, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And if the gas happens to run out and you get out with the Ark of the Covenant, you're dead anyway, because it has radiological effects. Even in the Bible, they talk about you have to wear these specific shoes and these specific robes to be able to handle it.
Putting on the armor of God.
The armor of God, which is
actually
lead.
Just PPE for your godly PPE.
I didn't know 3M was around back in the day.
The fucking Area 52 has lots of secrets. It's been around for millennia.
How crazy would it be if the Ark of the Covenant was housed right over there at Dugway?
Well, it's housed in Ethiopia. I don't know if you've ever seen any of that.
I've seen and heard so many stories about it's been stolen back and forth, and allegedly the Catholics have it, and then they're like, actually we don't, and just, that should be a whole rabbit hole we go down for an episode.
Yeah. Ark of the Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant. Or we could just watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, the Nazis have it. Well, I guess it belongs in a museum.
Top men. Who are top men? Top men. Yes. Did you ever see the fourth Indiana Jones movie?
I did, but I kept on looking at my phone because it was kind of boring.
Well, not as boring as the fifth one.
But wait. The Skulls one is with Shia LaBeouf, right? Yeah. That's the fourth one, and the fifth one is with the time travel.
Yeah.
They're just so fucking wishy-washy that they just blend together. The fourth one was alright. The fifth one was the one that I was losing track of.
Yeah, because it sucked. That whole woke, strong female lead thing. Like, we can't just create, a new franchise for her. We have to steal Indiana Jones's. And in fact, I know this is a side note, but the original ending had her essentially changing history to where all of Indiana Jones's accomplishments were hers.
Really?
Yeah. And so they like viewed it, and Bob Iger went, "What the fuck are you doing?" No. Fix that shit. So, points to him on that one. But yeah, in the fourth one, when they're trying to find like the alien body in this warehouse, and then they get through the chase scene and all that, one of the crates gets
right?
Yeah. One of the crates gets knocked over, has the Ark of the Covenant in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is there really one warehouse where they keep all the cool shit together?
Yeah, it's called the Vatican Archives.
It's actually called the Presidential Library.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go near it. You could just read about it.
Yeah. So yeah, pyramids. Great mystery.
Great mystery.
I think we've solved it, though. I mean, the pyramid mystery is unsolved. No, solved.
It's solved, yeah.
Solved.
Whichever conclusion you want, we solved it.
Yeah. We'll have AI fucking determine whether we're right or wrong.
We'll have to ask AI about it, for sure. So, of the different theories, so the power plant, the chemical manufacturing, the housing of pharaohs, or the housing of the Ark of the Covenant, which of those is your favorite?
My favorite is the Billy Carson narrative, but the one that makes the most sense is the land of Chem, the chemical plants.
I have to agree with you, sadly. I really want Billy Carson's version to be right.
Yeah, it's so cool. Would be such a cool movie. But, life isn't a movie. It's just kind of...
In some ways, it's stranger.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were just able to do this shit because they had fucking the will and determination of the people that were wanting to fucking make their land more prosperous, I guess.
Yeah.
And he does go through it and talk about the pyramids, so like the step pyramid and the bent pyramid, which were the earlier versions of the pyramids, the earlier built pyramids, and the way that they were built was like kind of there's a name for it, I can't remember the name, but it's just like a flat surface. Mm-hmm. And then they started amping up production, so they had to start making them bigger. And so like the first pyramid, the earliest one I think was the step pyramid, was they built one and then like they had to upscale, so they built another level on top and built another level on top and kind of upscaled as the civilization grew. And then the same with the bent pyramid, as they were building a pyramid, and as this had to scale up, they built another one kind of on top of that one.
Yeah.
And built another one on top of that one. So it was kind of like you can see the progression and how they had to scale up, and so they just built it bigger and bigger and bigger, and until they finally got to the pyramids in Giza and just built these massive fucking structures.
Well, I also think it's crazy how different societies across the globe who had no means of communication with each other are building pyramids.
Right.
Like, how are they building pyramids in Egypt at the same time they're building them in South America? Like, how does that make any sense? And that kind of goes back to my idea with the whole Pangea thing of maybe there was one centric society that was building these pyramids, and then a cataclysm happened, and now they're all spread across the globe. But they all have the same building style, because they were all from the same society. But they've been adapted because in the event of a cataclysm that would reshape the face of the earth, humans aren't going to live.
Right.
And if they do, they're not going to live very long.
Yeah.
So a lot of these pyramids are found they're discovered more than they are manufactured. So they kind of have to make up a narrative to go with it.
Yeah.
So I really kind of feel like that's the way it was, just from my own sense of that makes more sense than the other part. But then again, it's what are the pyramids for? Like, what is the purpose of a pyramid-shaped building?
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely the pyramids in Egypt aren't the only pyramids that were built. There's pyramids all through Africa and South America, and allegedly some that were built here in the Americas and in China and Antarctica, apparently.
Well, there's the one that was built in Alaska or whatever. That was, the main focal point for the 2004 movie Alien vs. Predator.
Yeah, it was just upside down and inverted.
No, it was just way underground.
Yeah. But it comes back to the whole collective consciousness thing where, you have a society of people doing one thing, and then all of a sudden groups of people around the world are doing the same thing. It could not necessarily have anything to do with people spreading information, physically, but like the collective consciousness is understanding these things. And the pyramids in South America are built and were, kind of, the history is saying that they were used for the kings and the sacrifices of, for the gods. But then they also have records in South America of this black earth, the soil that they were using to plant shit, that they don't understand how they were creating the soil. Is it the same process they were doing in Egypt, where they're manufacturing these chemicals to make soil and fertilizers for crops? Maybe.
Yeah. Making almost like a pure form of fertilizer.
Yeah. So that, in the Amazon basin in Brazil, there's this soil that they've found that the ancient people there were creating, called terra preta, and it's like some of the most fertile soil in the world, and they don't understand how they were making it. It's human created soil, but they don't understand, even now they don't understand how they were making it.
It's made in pyramids.
They were making it in the pyramids, Dad.
See? That's
the ancient aliens came here, showed them how to make fertile ground, and we ran with it, and now we evolved. Now we have cell phones.
I think we took a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
You know what, though?
Now none of us know how to grow a fucking tomato.
I'd rather play on my cell phone than have to get out and farm. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not built for manual labor, I guess.
I like eating tomatoes.
Oh, I love tomatoes.
My wife goes out and plants them, and I'm just like, good job, babe. You're the best farmer I know.
As you're slicing it, put a little bit of salt on it.
Yeah. I'm adding it to my bacon sandwich. That'll do.
You did great, baby. Yeah, I think there's a lot of mystery from the pyramids. I still can't accept the classic narrative that we've been taught that slaves built them. Just from any logical standpoint, it does not make sense.
It doesn't.
So
it makes sense when you're being taught that as a fucking 8-year-old.
Well, I think even when I was a kid, I remember questioning, going like, how'd they get the one up at the top? Like, how the fuck they get that up there? Or did they just like make one single stack and then build up a smaller stack and then a smaller stack? And no, it just didn't make sense to me even when I was a kid.
I've seen versions of so also with some of these scans that they've done, that they've seen like ancient waterways that kind of like surround the Giza Plateau, and so
the Nile used to run up against where the pyramids are. So
the thought is, in some of these circles, is that they would dig these waterways, and then as the Nile would flood, these waterways would get flooded, and then they would use these channels of water to move the blocks of stone to where they want to go. They'd build barges and then float them.
How big a fucking barge do you got to build?
I don't know.
That's enormous.
Yeah. So, they would build... you can float shit with, that's how they will, raise ships from underwater nowadays. They'll have a ship and then have, a certain size float that is going to raise that ship, just because the buoyancy is greater than the weight of the water.
I could see that if you're going to essentially put airbags into the ballast of a ship that's been, capsized on the ocean floor, filling up the ballast and maybe some of the other larger internal areas with airbags, the buoyancy will take over and it'll overcome the weight. But you're talking about a stone. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's no internal space to put airbags inside.
Do you float it on top or like the barges on the side? Like I don't understand it either.
Even then, if you're pre-cutting the stone before you ship it, it's going to encounter damage on the way there, but they're all perfectly seamless and flat and almost laser cut, because some of these stones, they've been tested, they're put against a zero plane surface where it's actually tested to have no variance. And then they'll put these stones on this flat plane and try to shine a light through it, and it doesn't shine through because it's perfectly cut.
Yeah.
And they fit perfectly together. And these stones, 35, 40 tons, like, just none of it makes sense.
Doesn't. And that's part of the mystery.
And you know what I thought about actually yesterday was when we did the time travel episode, and you were asking your kids, if you could time travel somewhere. And I think Izzy was like, yeah, I'd want to go see the pyramids being built. And the more I thought about that, the more I was like, that's the right answer.
Yeah.
Because that would solve so many questions.
How disappointing would it be you get back there and it's just a bunch of fucking slaves, like millions of slaves, pulling a fucking big-ass rock with a rope. Maybe they've tied it to a woolly mammoth like in 10,000 BC.
Well, woolly mammoths did exist at the same time. I would rather go with a more fantastical version and be like, maybe the Nephilim were the slaves, and that's how they were able to do it. Much larger, much more powerful.
Yeah, but in the historical accounts, the Nephilim weren't the slaves. They were kind of like the... So we're planning to do an episode on the Book of Enoch, and the Book of Enoch talks about the Nephilim and stuff like that. And so it's... The Nephilim were kind of the children of the gods. They were the half-breeds, the demigods of, these fallen angels that came down. And so they were giants. And so why would they be working for unless it was like the gods that instructed them, like their parents told them they had to build this shit.
Or paradigm shift, or where, in classic Judeo-Christian, where God preferred mankind over angels, where he's like, okay, you assholes, you work for them now. And so Nephilim became slaves. I could see it. Religion's fucked up like that.
Yeah. Which I'll have to send you this fucking podcast about the...
I'm down, dude. I'm like
Book of Enoch.
Fully geared up for Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be my whole weekend. Like, the last couple days has been all pyramid stuff, and I'm like, I'm kind of at the point I want to get through it so I can get to Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's even funny because the last 2 nights I fell asleep watching stuff about the pyramids on YouTube. And so everything like auto-played after that, and I could hear YouTube playing while I'm sleeping, so I'm dreaming about pyramids and shit. Okay.
That's when you know you're in the zone, when you're having the fucking dreams about the shit.
Yeah, and even in dreams, I still can't make sense of how slaves are just building the pyramids. It just doesn't work.
Maybe that's our focus, dude. We need to write it down for each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is your focus. We have to keep it secret.
Okay.
And Ash will project each other into the fucking...
remote view.
Remote view, the pyramids being built by whoever they're being built by.
I'm down to try it. Let's just Doctor. We'll just get some mushrooms. We're just gonna have a third party stand there and talk to us about the pyramids while we're tripping balls.
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
Have you guys seen that pyramid?
I'm there right now.
It's a glass pyramid.
There's a big fucking diamond on the top. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm down. Anyway, that was fun. I'm glad we talked about it, and I'm glad it kind of forced me to go down the rabbit hole on all the stuff that we've been seeing to prove that it's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, me too. And that's, that was kind of the whole, like, land of chem thing was a side note for me in the beginning, and then it was just like, holy fuck, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That it was kind of became my rabbit hole that I focused on.
That's what I always find interesting about these things is, like, you'll pick one thing that becomes your focus, and I pick a different thing, and we just intersect our lines.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about the same shit that we both researched.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad that you didn't watch that.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to send it to you, but I was like, I wanted to refer it to you just because, so you wouldn't be totally caught off guard by some fucking shit that I was talking about.
No, I liked it, though. Like, that was an aspect I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely going to have to go in and watch it now, but I'm glad I didn't know about it beforehand. Yeah. Fun surprise. Doctor?
Doctor. All right, I guess we can consider this myth solved.
Solved. Another one in the books.
Fucking somebody give us something that we can't solve. That's what I want to know.
Or, better idea, just pay us to be on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just solve shit live.
Yeah, we'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. Yeah, how cool would that be? Like, people call in and just like, hey, what about such and such? All right, cool, let's spitball this for a minute.
Hold on. Hold my beer.
So anyways, we got like Miss Cleo there off to the side just in case. What do you think, Miss Cleo? Call now for your free reading.
Good guy, hell of a guy.
Good guy.
Like fucking Letterkenny, their call-in show.
Good guy, hell of a guy.
All right, well.
Well, let's pull it there. Okay, love you, bye-bye.
Bye.